AITA, for kicking my niece and her fiancé out of my house after I found them inside my deceased son's room? I lost my son Connor 5 months ago. He was in the military. Only 24 years old. He was kind and sweet. Losing him so suddenly was devastating. His room is pretty much the same. I have pictures of him there. His posters, his artwork, books, sneakers and such. Every time I enter the room I feel some kind of relief. I just love drinking my coffee there in the morning and sit on his bed and look at his touches all over the walls. It just warms my heart. I'm proud of him because he had no selfishness, never mistreated anybody. He was so forgiving and never held grudges. I started recently giving some of his clothes to those who could use them, and it's hard, but I'm taking it slow. My 23-year-old niece and her fiancé, male, moved in with me because of their current financial struggles. They said they only had money left to pay for 1 month's rent and asked me to let them stay with me for a month until niece's fiancé finds a job. I agreed. I didn't mind having someone to talk to anyway, but I told them that my son's room is a clear boundary and they're not allowed to enter it or be in it for any reason. They have the guest room, and soon enough they started complaining about sleeping on the floor. Eventually they stopped. Yesterday, I was out to get groceries. I got home at 8 a.m. I made coffee and was heading upstairs to spend some time in Connor's room. I was surprised to find the door locked. I then found out that my niece and her fiancé were inside. I thought they were in the guest room. But my niece told me they spent the night in Connor's room because they couldn't endure sleeping on the floor any longer. I blew up when I saw her fiancé on Connor's bed. I just kept yelling at them and berating them. My niece was shocked by my reaction. She said I overreacted and she'd clean it up later. I told them to get out of the room, pack their things and leave. My niece called me harsh, cruel and unreasonable. She kept asking if Connor would have wanted me to treat her like this. I insisted they just leave. Leave immediately. They left an hour later. My family heard. My sister said I shouldn't have kicked them out. The reason she can't take them is because her husband doesn't want niece's fiancé at his home due to family disagreement. My sister said I was in the wrong and I overreacted, shamed me for being unsupportive and inconsiderate. The guest room only has mattresses, so they weren't directly sleeping on the floor. They were okay with it at first, but they started complaining. Complained about other things as well. I should mention my brother-in-law said he won't let niece's fiancé into his house after what happened between them. And he kept swearing up and down that niece's fiancé is never allowed into the house again. My niece refused to move in without her fiancé, that's why I took them both in. Not the butthole. You set a clear boundary and they broke it. Doesn't matter that it was your son's room or not eating your Twinkies. Absolutely. I'm so sorry for your loss, Op. I can't even imagine. Your sister had no right to berate you when her daughter and fiancé disrespected you and your son like that. Now I think I know why your sister's husband doesn't want the fiancé at their house. This behavior says a lot about how selfish and insensitive they are. Edit, not the butthole. This exactly. This story boils my blood. Not the butthole. My sister said I shouldn't have kicked them out. The reason she can't take them is because her husband doesn't want niece's fiancé at his home due to family disagreement. I would also add in relation to the above point that you have now also had a disagreement with your niece and her fiancé. Accordingly, based on your sister's reasoning, you similarly can't take them in again. At first I was a little charitable about it. Maybe she wanted to check out her cousin's room for the sake of remembering him, like mom does. But it was the effing bed. Not the butthole. It made me cry that they were on his bed. It probably smelled like him and now it won't. I know it might be weird, but one of my favorite things in this world is how my son and husband smell. Now she won't be able to lay in it and smell him. Edit. Thank you /user Firebird_rising so much for the award. It's my first one ever, crying face. Reddit link. I don't think that's weird at all. While we have a larger part of our brain for logical thinking /thought process, we do still have the primal part of our brain that wants /needs similar things to animals. The scent of loved ones providing comfort is a natural phenomenon. It's why cats like to sleep in our bed, or rub themselves on our dirty clothes /post-shower towels. Plus, for human beings, scent is linked to some of our strongest memories. It's why my cousin has bottles of the aftershave our grandpa used to use, and when she gave me a bottle, I started wearing it just because I was the only one in the family who smelled just like him when I tried it on. I keep a bottle of my granny's favorite perfume and I smell it every once in a while just to remember her, even though it makes me cry every time. I do that with the aftershave bottle whenever I need a little comfort. It helps, but like you with your granny's perfume, it also makes me cry. Sad but comforting. I recently cried because I knew she had called taquitos something funny on accident, but I couldn't remember what it was. I had to call my daughter and ask her. It was laquitas. Then my daughter and I both laughed and cried over that one funny little thing together. My mom has a bottle of her mom's perfume. They don't make it anymore. I never met her, she died shortly before I was born. But occasionally mom would take it out to smell, so with that and pictures, my siblings and I got to connect that way. Recently, she soaked a cotton ball with it and sent that to me. I had to put it in a keepsake box because the scent is so strong. There's something comforting about it, because there's still a hint of the perfume even outside the box. I just have to walk over to it, and there it is. That's such a sweet idea. Now I want to do that for my daughters. I'm really glad that they got to grow up with her in their lives and she got to meet my first granddaughter. She passed when my granddaughter was 10 months old. They have companies now that will duplicate the scent for you if it's out of production. I have my uncle's favorite aftershave. It's all I have left that smells of his hugs. Sometimes when I really miss him more than normal days, I open it and everything is a little better for a fraction of a second. I don't have much of it left. He didn't have a full bottle when he passed away or anything. I'm saving a little bit of it for when I marry my boyfriend. I want him to use a little bit of it so that it feels like he's there with us. He was like a second father to me. He helped raise me. I think about him every day and I loved him so much. I kept one of my granddad's pipes after he passed and it sits on my bookshelves. If I have to move it, I get this big waft of tobacco smell and all these memories just come flooding back. It was the same when I accidentally bought a shower gel made by the same people who made my mom's lotion once. I used it and suddenly it was like I was back in time. My mom recently passed, but I also caught the virus pretty badly shortly before that. I now cannot smell the perfume she used to wear. There's also nothing when I try to smell her clothes or anything. It's an additional blow I really couldn't have predicted. This is so accurate, and not at all weird. I lost someone 4 years ago, and it took me almost 2 years to wash his jacket. Just putting it on felt like a hug from him, because I could close my eyes and smell him. The day I washed it broke my heart, and felt like losing him all over again. What the niece and her fiancé did was a huge betrayal, done because they didn't appreciate the guest room they were offered. It's only been 5 months since original poster lost her son, and it's not original poster who is cruel and uncaring, it's the niece who cares so little about her aunt's feelings and grief. It's not weird, it's understandable. I had that same thought. It won't smell like him anymore and there's nothing she can do to change that. Ouch. My heart goes out to you, Op. That's not weird at all. Or, we're both weird, because I do the same thing. I'll happily wear my husband's dirty clothes when he's away because the smell makes me feel like he's closer than he is. To have that taken from original poster permanently is soul-crushing. Op is definitely not the butthole. I agree. When my husband died, and then my father 2 months later, I would smell their shirts all the time. Until one day that started to smell like me instead. It broke my heart. When my husband was in the military and he'd leave, I would put a little of his deodorant on his pillow so I could fall asleep with the bed smelling like him. This story breaks my heart. Not to mention they probably had sex in it. What a disgusting, selfish couple of human beings. This woman lost her son, the child she created, and these two absolute buttholes had the audacity to violate what she had left of him. Agreed. The smell of the people you love is priceless, and you're right, Connors can't be replaced and they may have made it go away. Crying face, I'm going now, to get my So's t-shirt and hug our sweet pup, because they could be gone any minute. Op, I'm so very sorry, heart. Wow. I didn't even think of this. Their behavior towards original poster and her son were already enough to make me livid, but now I'm effing pissed at them. What a massive pair of buttholes. Agreed. When my cat had a stroke, I had to give my boyfriend bedding to spend the night while we waited to see what would happen at the hospital. I'd asked him to bring his own blankets, but he didn't. He doesn't use sheets. No matter how many nights my cat lay in my bedding, the bedding smelled like my boyfriend ever after. I hate it so much. I'm so sorry, Op. They should have just bought a cheap bed frame. My grandma was of a similar mindset for the first 3 years after my grandpa passed away from cancer. She didn't wash a lot of his things because they smelled like him. Eventually she did, but not until she was ready to. I buy the body wash that my grandparents always had when I was little. It smells like baths and joy, and two of the best humans that ever graced the earth. My happiest of places. I use it for bubbles in my bath and my heart feels full, heart. Not to mention the other room had a mattress. It just apparently didn't have box springs and frame. What a bunch of entitled babies. User Mayflower 1996 exactly. Original poster is not the butthole, Reddit link. The sister's reaction is telling. She would have kicked them out too. She tried playing moral high ground while also saying, oh yeah, I can't take them and so don't ask me to be the bigger person. How dare you make my child my problem? Clearly the niece and her fiancé have a reputation since they couldn't stay at original poster sister's house due to a previous family argument. Sis is just mad because now the ball is in her court to take them in and she don't want to be seen as the butthole. Sounds like niece and fiancé are two non-working deadbeats who are ungrateful when people try to help them. Niece may want to rethink her choice in a fiancé. Perhaps find one who can afford a bed. My question is, what the heck happened to their bed? Are they so inept at life that they lost all of their possessions when they lost their apartment? Why couldn't they bring in their bed, since a mattress on the floor is so unacceptable? The mattress is the most expensive part of the bed anyway, so if they don't like it, why don't they find a cheap $50 frame? When I was a broke grad after university, I got one for £99 and that was including a cheap-ass mattress that I then upgraded but kept the cheap frame because it worked fine. Person shrugging, female sign. Yes, and even before the massive boundary stomping of using the son's bed, there was the complaining about sleeping on a mattress, and other things. These aren't pleasant people to have around. If anyone gives you crap, repeat what your sister said. They can't stay with you because of a family disagreement. I'm so sorry for your loss and for them disrespecting you. Not the butthole. Holy effing crap, I agree with every single point you made. Not the butthole. Plus they've already burned bridges in another home because of a family disagreement? Sounds like the pair aren't very respectful. Not the butthole. Well yeah, that doesn't help. Especially with the issue of listening to the sister, who was part of said disagreement. NTA, 100%, agree with this. It doesn't matter what the backstory was. You gave them one forbidden tree, but they ate the apple anyway. That said, OMFG, I am so mad. How dare she say your son? I would have slapped her teeth out of her mouth at that moment. And her mother, look, if you can't take in your own daughter because her father has forbidden it, how dare you expect others to do so and put up with their bullcrap? I'm glad you kicked them out. Oh. I hate the what would, deceased person, want you to do. People said this to me when Mom, may her memory be for a blessing, died. My mom wanted me to have my own autonomy and feelings, not hers. She would have wanted me to feel the feelings and not ignore them. It's an unbelievably insensitive way to gaslight someone from the grief process. It's cruel. Overall, in American, the bereavement benefits are garbage, which is an indication of how we treat grief. Because of this, I have such a soft spot for the bereaved, and boundary stompers like original poster niece make me want to fight. Up, I'm so sorry for your loss. May Connor's memory be for a blessing, heart, not the butthole. Right? I'm sitting here hollering. Probably he'd have wanted his mother to be able to grieve in her own way without douchebags making it worse. Not to mention how niece's own mother gets to not accommodate her daughter in her space cause of her husband, but original poster has to despite having her one boundary trampled on? No thank you. While grieving her son. They put this on her while she in deep mourning. No wonder the niece is a butthole and has no respect. Look at her parents' behavior. Precisely. This girl's fiancé now has a family disagreement with two members of her family. Not the butthole, sorry for your loss, Op. Damn right. His house, his rules. The niece and fiancé seemed to be bad people too. Original poster was right on kicking them out. Not the butthole. You had terms and conditions for their living there rent-free. They didn't abide those terms and conditions, so they lost their housing. Beggars don't get to be choosers. They don't like sleeping on a floor? They can buy a blow-up mattress with the money they are saving not paying rent. Or they can talk to you about it. But they were told expressly to not enter your son's room. They did, and even attempted to lock the door for privacy. Your sister can get over it. If her husband doesn't like her daughter's fiancé, that's on them, but that doesn't mean you have to house them. Your sister doesn't get to shame you when she is perfectly able to house her daughter and fiancé, she just refuses to because it will ruffle her own feathers instead of yours. The guest room had mattress on the floor, so it wasn't like they were sleeping in a nest of blankets on hardwood, or anything. They were apparently just lower down than they wanted to be. Yeah, beggars can't be choosers, and that is certainly fine. The audacity of some people. It's like they think rent and utilities are free. 30 years old with back issues. Sleeping on hardwood floors in a nest of blankets sounds like a godsend, to be honest. 30-year-old with occasional back issues who sleeps on a nest of blankets on the floor, here. I initially started sleeping on the floor because my mattress became impossible to sleep on and I didn't have the money to buy a new one. But my back has had more good days on average since I started sleeping on a firmer surface. My knees are a little creaky when I settle into bed, but I've seen some improvement there, too. I too prefer a quite firm bed. Have found IKEA mattresses in firm to be the best I've had. Just enough give to be comfy, with a ton of support. So good. I actually find IKEA mattresses too firm for my liking, so they would be perfect for someone who likes to sleep on the floor. I chucked a padded mattress protector on mine and now it's a good firmness. Too firm, you say? Sounds like I know where my next bed is coming from. Okay, mattresses are the best for firm and inexpensive. Look them up. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.